Hi! Do you guys even remember me? I know it's been a while. I haven't made a video since like before Thanksgiving. Anyway, good evening. If you don't know me or you need a reminder, my name is Sheena Peril. I'm a knitting novelist from the Pacific Northwest, and I am your host for a podcast that is 50% wool and 50% ectoplasm, although tonight it's going to be more heavy on the wool content. We're going to skip the spooky story because this one's going to be kind of long to begin with. Below you can find chapters for everything that I'm talking about, links to my website and where to find my books and patterns. And I hope that you stick around. It's really helpful for me if you subscribe, leave a comment, all of that kind of stuff. I have been having some health issues lately, so anytime that I can get a passive source of income, for example, YouTube ad revenue, that's really helpful for me. So it really helps if you can subscribe, share, all of that good stuff. I will be having a health update coming soonish. Basically since December, I've been going through multiple diagnostic processes. I've been working with a lot of specialists trying to figure out what the heck is going on and why I'm so tired all the time. So far, we don't have any definitive answers. I have started a new medication. I've been talking about some of this stuff over on Tumblr, which you will also find linked down below. And I've just been talking about it there instead of on my main social media, just because it is kind of off topic for what I normally talk about. I do talk about historical chronic illness and things like that on my blog, but I don't usually get into the personal aspects of it for me. So if you go over to Tumblr, you will find that I have a whole series that I've done on ADHD and autism diagnosis as an adult, which I have recently gone through and checked both boxes. But I'm also going a little bit into the chronic illness stuff and what it's been like trying to find a diagnosis and find answers when nobody knows what the heck is going on. Anyway, other than that, we did make a trip down to Portland for the holidays, which was whirlwind and very fun. And it was going to be more fun, except we forgot that it was freaking Christmas and that everything was going to be closed. We were going to make some stops on the way back to Seattle, and that did not go as planned. We actually had to hunt for a gas station that was open and would take pay at the pump, which was not expected at all. But we did have a good time. I got a lot of crafty stuff for Christmas that I will show you a little bit later on, and I'm going to show you some of the Yule gifts that I made, which have not been sent out yet because they're all going to people in Ohio, and I have been really bad about getting to the post office lately. In other news, we did make an emergency run to the vet, the regular vet, not the emergency vet. One of our cats was acting weird. Bast, you'll see him later in this podcast. $400 later, turns out he has a tapeworm. So we got some new flea treatment for them. We've had a history of cats that have bad reactions to flea treatment, so we're trying a new flea treatment that is not chemical based. It was actually really cool. The doctor and I were both nerding out about this. It's a flea treatment that's the byproduct of a bacteria found in sand in the Caribbean. It's really cool. So anyway, we're trying that out with our cats. It's reasonably priced, but when you have 5 cats, that adds up really fast. So $400 for all that medication, and we probably have to go back to get more preventative dewormer for the other cats. So again, subscribe, hit that bell, help me get up to a subscriber level that will let me have ads on this channel. I also found out that my current temp placement, where I have been since October, I think, that's going to be ending at the end of this month, which I'm really sad about. I really like where I am, but I also understand they have never had enough work for me at all. So I'm looking to moving on to bigger and better things, hopefully where I will have more interesting stuff to work on. But let's go on and get into the knitting here. My usual chai latte, which this is what keeps me fueled because I don't drink coffee. Okay, so I'm gonna start with the stuff that is eventually going to be going to Ohio, because one of the reasons why I'm filming this podcast is because I keep putting off taking photos. So this way I will at least have video. Okay, so number one, I showed this to you guys already, but I hadn't woven in the ends yet. So this is a cowl for my mom. It is made out of a cotton and synthetic blend. It's a cone yarn. So it's made out of mill ends from commercial mills, like for Nike or other fast fashion brands. And this is their leftover yarn that's been wound into several yarns on the same cone, which is what gives it that kind of tweedy look. This is my own pattern, and if you would like a pattern for it, I can go ahead and write one up pretty quickly because it is very easy. I've made a few of these in the past, but I figured that my mom could use it right now because she's having a hard time. And as part of that, she's currently staying with my aunt, my grandma, and my aunt's husband, and they've been taking really good care of her during this time. So I made my aunt a pair of socks. The heels, toes, and cuffs are Knitpicks Stroll Glimmer in the color Regal, and I don't know what this is. This is leftover from another project, and I can't find the project in Ravelry, so I don't know what it is. But I can tell you that it's a super wash 75/25 sock yarn because that's pretty much all I use. And I think she's really going to like them because she likes purple. She loves cozy socks. She's usually more of a knee-high sock person, so I'm going to include a note that's like, if you don't want to wear these with your normal shoes, just put some puff paint on the bottom and use them as slippers. So those are for my aunt. And then her husband, I have met once for like less than 5 minutes. I don't think we even spoke to each other. It was just like, hey, that's her boyfriend. Okay, so I haven't really met him. I don't know him that well, but I know that he's been a big help. So I made him this colorwork hat. And this is based off of my Northman pattern, which is available on Ravelry. I didn't have quite the right yarn proportions for it, so I just kind of adopted the colorwork pattern, which is very simple, and just used up some leftover yarn. The black, I'm pretty sure is Knitpicks, but I'm not positive. And I have no idea what the blue is. It was just some leftover yarn in my stash. I was just trying to use up some oddballs. So those are all ready to go out. And then while I was going through my stash, trying to find something to work on, I needed a small hit of serotonin, actually dopamine. We found out that I'm very low on dopamine. I found some hand-spun, hand-dyed yarn that I made ages and ages ago. I am almost positive this is dyed with Kool-Aid in lemonade and pink lemonade. And I just started making a hat. It was going to have like more of a texture to it, but then I saw the way it was spiraling and I thought that was really cool, so I went ahead and left it. As you can probably tell, even though I really love pink and yellow together, those are kind of my happy colors, this is a little bit too pastel for me, and it doesn't really match my wardrobe. Like, I normally do pink and yellow in other things, not necessarily my clothing, because yellow is a really hard color for me to wear. The trials and tribulations of having an olive skin tone. So this is probably gonna go, if I don't put it up in my shop, then it's just gonna go to charity. But I do really like the way that it came out. It is silk. I don't remember what type of silk, because this is early spinning. This is like when I was still living with my parents that I dyed this. So I don't remember any of the details. It's not pre-Ravelry, but it is early Ravelry. So yeah, I don't have the details on this, but it is pretty cute. It's just not me. So actually, I know someone who might enjoy this. I might send this off to them. Okay. Oh, I forgot an item. Be right back. Okay, so the last couple of months, because I've been low on dopamine and low on energy, I just needed some wins. Like, I needed to complete some stuff and feel like I'd accomplished things. I'd had the same stuff on the needles for all of 2022, and it was ridiculous. So I sat down and I couldn't find the yarn for this project. So I ordered more. And of course, the day I bound off was the day that I found the yarn I had lost. So made this vest, and the shirt is just underneath. This is how it was hanging in my closet. This is Knitpicks Stroll Tweed in the color Atlantis. This is my own pattern. It was supposed to be the Argyle vest on Ravelry, which is open work. It uses yarn overs instead of the lattice stitch that I did, or the purl stitches, but I could not wrap my head around it when I was casting on, so I just did my own thing and it came out really nice. The arm side goes in a little bit far. I overcompensated for my extraordinarily narrow shoulders, so I might go back and reduce some of these decreases. Like, this part hits at exactly the right area, but I need to fill in this area a little bit. Maybe, I'm not positive. I don't think I feel like going back and doing that. But on the bright side, I have 3 more balls of this yarn now, which is actually enough to make another one. And then the other thing that I finished last night, so this hasn't been blocked yet, this is the office raglan. And here we go. It's just a cropped raglan short sleeve sweater. I do still need to find buttons for this neckline, but I haven't decided what I want yet, and the ones that I think I want I don't have, so I need to look for that. This is Knitpicks Hawthorne. I'm not positive of the color. This is Bulldog yarns. Again, I'm not sure of the color. And then the ribbing is the leftover of that Stroll Glimmer and Regal mixed with another Stroll hand dye yarn, but I don't remember the colors. I'm gonna try and look these things up and put them in the description down below. But yeah, the last few months have been kind of rough. My memory has been shit, and just things have not been getting done, and honestly, keeping track of yarn names has not been high on my priority list. So this is just a cropped sweater. I used 2 entire balls of these, and then this was just some of the leftovers that I had. It looks really cute. It's good with high-waisted stuff. I just need to block it and put those buttons on, like I said. I also learned how to do a tubular bind off for this, which, how do you people do your sewn bind offs? How do you have the patience for that? It took me 2 days to do this. I normally bind off in like half an hour. What the heck? I am not that patient. So I'm gonna go back to doing my cast off, which I think is the crocheted cast off. And then when it's too tight, I add an extra stitch every third stitch. It's fine. So yeah, I'm never doing that again. But this is fun to make. I'm so glad it's done. This has been on the needles since April, so I'm over it, but I'm so glad it's done, and I can't wait for it to work. Now, my last finished object has the distinction in being in 3 different segments of this episode. So here we have, this is Wednesday, which I made for Ash for Yule. It's just freeform crochet. I didn't use a pattern. She's actually the one who did the hair because I am not an experienced doll or plushie maker, and the hair looked terrible when I did it. So she redid the hair, which is, it's totally fine. I gave her permission to do that. I also left the face blank so that way she could make the face in the style that she wanted, because she can be kind of particular when it comes to like plushies and dolls and stuff. So I'm letting her do the face, and then I still need to make the dress. But the best part is so her neck is just one of those magnetic snaps that you put on purses. And I'm going to put a green ribbon around her neck, because the girl with the green ribbon, which you might be familiar with from one of the early episodes of this podcast, is like the picture book that trauma bonded millennials, because it was read to us in like 2nd or 3rd grade, which would never fly now. I don't know how that got past anyone, but everyone I know who has heard this story is just like, oh my God, yes, I thought that was a fever dream. So the doll portion is done. I do still need to make her dress, and I'm going to be casting that on today. Okay, let's move on to some whips. I do have a few over here. I'm going to have to undig them because I accidentally put my acquisitions on top. So first of all, this is the one that I'm working on the most right now. I started this last night, and what it is, this is a sweater that I actually made a few years ago. You'll notice I have a love of the short sleeve raglan with the slit in the neck, because I don't like anything right up here because of my thyroid disease. I can't stand any kind of pressure on here. I can't do tight necklaces, tight necklines, turtlenecks. Sometimes it's even hard for me to wear a scarf. So we have the sweater, and I realized that all of my hand knit sweaters and vests were hitting in about the same place, which is that kind of cropped high-waisted look. And that's fine, but I need some longer tops that I can wear with leggings. So I still had a good chunk of yarn left from this, but not enough to make like another sweater. I'd already made a hat from the yarn. So what I did is I took out the ribbing at the bottom, and now I'm adding to it. I had to guess on the needle size. I'm currently using a US size 4, which seems to be pretty accurate to the original. And I'm just going to add probably 3 or 4 more inches of stockinette, and then redo the 2 inches of ribbing at the bottom. So it's going to be about, well, yeah, like it's going to be like 2 or 3 inches longer than it was, which is going to hit more at hip length for me. I might add a little bit extra to it, and if I still have yarn left over, I'm going to divide it in half and lengthen the sleeves a little bit, just so I have a little bit more variety in my hand knits. I mean, I really love making that style of top, but it does get boring, you know? I like to have some variety in my wardrobe. So this is, again, another one of those mill-end cones. I got this when I was living in Montreal in 2007. And I got it from a place called Magasin, which specializes in this type of yarn. It was on Montreal Avenue, if that matters to anyone. I'm not sure if it was still there, because it was run by an elderly couple, and I'm not sure if they've retired or got sold or if it's still open. I'm not sure what's going on, but I have really good memories of going to buy this with my mom when she was up for a visit. I was there for an internship, and she came up to visit me, and we picked out these yarns. It's my favorite colors, the aqua, the purple. It's got some white in there, some darker teal, and funnily enough, it exactly matched the plaid of the person who helped me wind the yarn. So this is full of great memories. Montreal is one of my favorite cities in the world, and if my French grammar was better, I would do a French language podcast. But the Frenchies are not so nice to people who don't speak their language perfectly. It's just kind of a cultural thing for them, so I'm sticking to English, but I really love this. So I can't wait to use more of it, and I want to use up as much of it as possible. The second project that I've been working on a lot, although you probably won't be able to tell, is the Eleonora project. Now this project has a whole website dedicated to what it is and what it's about, which I will link down below. But basically I am recreating a pair of 16th century knit stockings. And these were further along, but I realized I had messed up on the calf decreases and increases. So I had to rip all the way back to this little stitch marker. I was about here-ish, so I'm still catching up, but you can see I've had to add decreases, and the decreases go in before the increases for the calf. So the fit on these is really different, and I'm still trying to wrap my head around it. So these were on hold for a while because they are very small. These are 000 needles. The yarn is lace weight held double. It's Knitpicks, whatever their 100% silk is. It's a mulberry silk, and it's in their bright red color, which is like, oh god, it's a pepper name, Serrano. And as you can tell, my phone really hates this yarn because it's very intensely red, so it always ends up blown out. And because the gauge is so fine, it's very difficult to pick up the details, which it seems to be doing okay from this distance. It tends to not do so well closer up. So this is where it's at right now. I'm at the point where I've just started doing the increases, and right now I am trusting the process because I'm not 100% certain that I understand how these are supposed to fit. My last active whip is another pair of socks, which I'm contemplating ripping these out. I didn't have a pair of size 1 needles free when I cast these on, so I used a size 2, so they're coming out baggier than I want. And then I went to try them on to check for my toe decreases, and the cast on edge is tighter than I would like, so I'm not sure. I also did a different heel, and I'm not sure I like the fit of the heel, so if these might get ripped out. And again, I cannot remember what the yarn is. I'm gonna have to pull it from my Ravelry page and put it down below. Okay, so let's talk about some acquisitions and some future plans. So one thing that I'm working on that I can't really show you as a sewing project, I will insert a picture of the original right here. So I got this sweatshirt for Christmas. I absolutely adore it. It was a gift from my mother-in-law, but unfortunately she got it in the wrong size. So what I did is I went to the thrift store and I picked up a red sweatshirt in a good texture, and I've cut it apart and I'm using it for spare parts basically. So I'm going to add some fabric to the sides and to the hem to add length and width. And then the arms I'm also adding to. They're a little bit short and a little bit snug on me, so I'm trying to add length. I don't know how much I can actually add. And they're going to have vertical stripes from where I piece together the donated panels. So I'll have more on that soon, but I just cut apart the pieces last night, so there really isn't much to show other than a pile of scrap sweatshirt fabric at the moment. But I'm going to be doing the Wednesday doll dress. Like I said, that's going to be cast on today. And I'm also going to be casting on a rainbow hat soon for a friend of Ash's, her daughter. We've kind of like adopted her daughter as taken her under our queer little wings basically, and she I had made her a hat a while back when she was having some troubles with her school district. Basically, they were being dicks. And so she has requested a new one because she outgrew the original. And actually, she's the one that I think this hat might go to. Not positive. And so I got this yarn. This is Lion Brand Mandala. The colorway is Gnome. Not sure where you get gnomes out of this, but that's the colorway name. And because I love rainbows, I got 5 more balls. So the story behind that is I made a rainbow sweater a few years ago. Well, actually, let's go back further. I made a circular rainbow baby sweater for a friend of mine who was expecting, and it came out so fabulous that I needed to make one for myself. Unfortunately, at the time, there were no rainbow yarns with extra long repeats. So any rainbow yarn I used to make an adult size, after about like that central circle, it was just gonna look like clown barf. So I used stripes. This took forever. It was a shit ton of ends to weave in. And it came out great. I will put some pictures right here. I do wear it, but not often, for a couple of reasons. Number one, I need to lengthen the sleeves. That was my own error in the fit. Also, the placement of the sleeves is not 100% correct. I should have spaced them a little bit further apart, but I didn't know that at the time because I had never made a circular sweater before. And then the other problem that I had, and the biggest issue, is I knit it at kind of a loose gauge, not realizing just how much the finished product would weigh. So the fabric is not dense enough to support its own weight. So it stretches like crazy. It was originally knee length and now it touches the floor. And rather than rip out the entire sweater, I'm just gonna make a new one using this yarn because it has the nice long repeats. I'm gonna knit it at a denser gauge, and because I have the original sweater still, I can measure the sleeve placement or the armhole placement off of that and get a better idea of where exactly they need to be. So this is going to be something that I'm going to cast on the hat pretty much right away. The sweater might be a little bit in the future. Now, also in that box, I have 3 skeins of Care Simply Soft in white. I'm sorry, this is off-white. And 4 skeins of this in black, also Care Simply Soft. So what I'm planning on doing is making the sweaters from the Wednesday TV show. And I know that they're crochet, they're going to eat yarn. That's why I bought so many of them. I'm hoping that this is going to be enough. It might not. I might have to go back for more, but thankfully, you know, it's an acrylic yarn. It's black and white. It's going to be fairly easy to match. So these are future projects. And I also have a little bit of black left over from the doll from her hair. And once I get done with her dress, that will also go into this project. Okay. So like I said, I had to order the extra yarn for the lattice sweater that I made. And you know, you gotta make those orders worth the shipping cost. So someone on Instagram said cashmere, and I needed to order cashmere. So I got 2 balls of this. This is Lion Brand, I'm sorry, not Lion Brand, Knitpicks Capretta. Fingering weight, this is called Hemlock Heather. I got 2 balls of this, and it's a pretty good match for the Atlantis Heather or Atlantis Tweed that I've got. Like, they're almost exactly the same. This is one of the reasons why I love Knitpicks, because they recycle their dyes. So you can find different yarns that match super well. There'll be different bases, but you can use them together and get different effects. And that's actually what I did on the office raglan, is because the burgundy, it's two different Knitpicks yarns, the color of the Regal is also carried over into the hand paint. So that's why I was able to use them together, and it doesn't look like it's striped or anything. It just looks like a single yarn. And I just alternated skeins on each round or every second round. So they look really good together. So I'm not sure what this is going to be. It's not as soft as I was hoping for. So of course I immediately went to Webs and created a huge $100 cart of various cashmere blends, and that's going to be my reward for something. I don't know what it's going to be, but I will decide in the future once I have done something to earn $100 worth of cashmere, and then those are going to be coming home. And then lastly, on the acquisitions, I received a gift card for Christmas, again from my mother-in-law. She's a really good gift giver. She gave me a gift card to Indie Untangled, which I did not know was a yarn shop. I thought it was just an event. So I went to their website and I got 2 skeins of this like hot flamingo pink yarn. It is called When You Play the Game of Indie. Okay, it is 100% superwash merino. It's a fingering weight single, 100 grams per 366 meters. It's recommended for a 2.25 to 4 millimeter needle. It's by Treliz, I think is how that's, yeah, treliz.eu. So I don't know what this is going to be yet, but as I was putting the yarn away, I happened to see it next to this, which is Knitpicks Stroll hand paint. This is, I think, Red Wing Blackbird. And I mean, don't those look good together? So I don't know what it's going to be, but these are getting used together for something. Okay, so I think that's it for the knitting content. I have been reading more, not a ton. Ash gave me a gorgeous copy of Jane Eyre for Christmas, which came in late, and I've been slowly reading through that. Jane Eyre is one of my absolute favorite books of all time. She also gave me a gorgeous copy of the Nutcracker, which I love the Nutcracker. I am not reading that one because it's out of season now, but it is on my shelf, so it's absolutely beautiful. I did finish reading a book called Endurance, which is about an Antarctic expedition like 1914 to 1916. It does have a happy ending. A lot of these exploration stories don't. This one does, and it's really good. I love reading about explorers and like ship voyages and stuff like that. So that one's really good. I just happened to find it in my desk when I started at this job and started reading it, and I enjoyed it. I also was finally able to get The Hogfather from the library over Christmas. So I read that and I really enjoyed it. The mini-series on Amazon actually follows the original very closely, which I was happily surprised by. The book adds a little bit of extra to it, but you're not missing a ton if you just see the movie, so that was nice. I'm also waiting on Mort to come back in. I started that and then it expired, so I'm waiting for it to become available again. Mostly I have been playing Slime Rancher. This is an older game. I've actually been playing it on the PS4 because it was stupid expensive on Switch. But I haven't been playing Dreamlight Valley because when my energy levels got so low in November and December, all of the like quests and things, it didn't feel like a serotonin hit to complete them. It just felt like work. So I've been taking a break from Dreamlight Valley. I'm going to go back to it soon, hopefully, maybe. But when I'm not feeling well, the first thing that I stop doing is playing video games, because it's one of the like fun things I do that is least important to me. It's not as important to me as reading books or knitting or anything like that. So if my energy levels get low, that's the thing that gets sacrificed. I have been watching quite a bit of TV. I watched Three Pines, which is a Quebec murder mystery. I am going to warn you, if you watch it, part 1 does have kind of a horrible ending. Like, it just feels needlessly bad. But if you watch part 2, that all kind of picks up and gets wrapped up nicely. A lot of people have been talking about the knitwear in this. It deals a lot with the Native American community. It deals a lot with residential schools. So if you are interested in that, it's a good watch. But if it's something that's going to be triggering for you, just be aware of that. But it's a really good story. I also got obsessed with A Castle for Christmas over the holidays. I watched it like 2 or 3 times. I really like the story. The acting in it is questionable, but knitting plays a huge role in it, so it kind of became a comfort watch for me while I was not feeling my best. Obviously, I watched Wednesday. I'm currently going through a second rewatch, because now that I have watched the whole series, I feel like every time I sit down to watch it, I have to be like knitting or crocheting or working on yarn, which is great. So that's what I've been watching on and off. I'm trying to like pace myself with it and eke it out a little bit more. I might have to watch it a 3rd time just when I'm working on the sweaters. I was going to wait until I started on the sweaters to rewatch it, but then I'm just like, no, I just want to watch it again. And then I've also started watching the 4th season of the new Charmed. I had to take a break from it after season 3 because I was so annoyed with the ending. And I understand like that is something that happened in the original series. I love the original series. I recognize its flaws, but it's still one of my comfort watches. But I feel like after season 1, seasons 2 and 3 tried to go too hard too fast. And I wasn't a big fan of the plot arc in season 3. So I'm trying out season 4. I'm still kind of on the fence about it. I'm not sure I'm going to continue with it after season 4, but you know, we'll see. I might just go back and rewatch my favorite seasons and episodes of the original Charmed instead. Okay, so I think that's about all that I have for this week. We're already at 40 minutes, and that was like just talking about yarn and TV. So I'm not going to do the spooky story. I have some knit tea, but because I've been so down the last couple of months, by the time I like get to the news, it's already old news. So I might do like a blog post or something that you can see the current updates, or you can just go look for them yourself on Ravelry, because that's honestly where I get most of this stuff. But yeah, I don't know when the next episode is going to be. I'm going to try and get back to more of like a monthly schedule roughly, but I can't say because my energy levels have been so variable. Like today I feel reasonably okay, and a couple days ago I took 3 naps, so, and I still slept for 10 hours at night. So it goes up and down. It depends. I'm not really feeling the effects of the new med too much yet, but we have me on kind of a gradient, so we're starting on a lower dosage, like less than the recommended, and then working up, just because I don't want to have major side effects that interfere with my ability to work, because my illness is already making it so hard for me to work and focus and pay attention to details and remember directions and that kind of thing. So we're working on it. I probably won't feel the full effects of it for 4 to 6 weeks. That's just kind of the way it goes. But thank you all so much for joining me. It really means a lot if you've stuck with me through this. I know my posting has been really sporadic. But yeah, thanks for hanging around. Let me know what you are working on down below. What is keeping you fueled today? And, like, comment, subscribe. Again, you can check out all of my books and patterns at the links down below. I'll also have a link to my website and my other social media where you can hopefully keep better track of me. I'm still posting on Twitter, but not as much. My entire Not Magic Studios business is currently on hiatus because of my health. The podcast and some of my social media, those are things that I do for fun that happen to be related to my business. So that's why I'm still making a podcast episode, but I'm not pressuring myself to meet deadlines because right now I am physically incapable of meeting them. But you can still find me on Twitter, sometimes on Instagram. And of course, if you need to reach me urgently, you can always email me. So thanks for joining me. I hope that you stay safe, stay healthy, and that you have something cute and fluffy to cuddle with. Ciao.